Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So, deep dive on the mechanisms of the three brain. You could say that this is a deep dive on a deeper way of healing. The idea of healing, most of our ideas of healing come from the intellect, when really the healing process is an intuitive process. And so a lot of times when we think of something healing, we want something to be removed, right? I want to go back to the way it was, right? Um, and then as we grow older, we age, we have an injury, whatever it might be. It's like, well, this is difficult. I never had this problem before, right? And again, if you think of like how people like approach healing is like I want freedom from it. I want it to go away. I want it to stop. And understandable. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that's understandable. That is what we would call the symptom oriented approach. And there's a time and a place for that. But healing, especially deeper healing, is more of a process. It's a movement. And so, like when we go through and we do this process, it's not like, everything's been removed. I feel so calm and I feel so peaceful. A lot of times, what happens is like, okay, I have things to do. I did this little process and now I came out of it with a to-do list, or there's things that I got to move through, or I'm more aware of issues that I wasn't really paying attention to, right? And healing's more about movement than it is about making something happen or making something go away. If you think about especially holistic practices, you're not making the body do something that it doesn't do naturally. You're helping the body help itself. You're supporting the natural, innate healing abilities of the body to help it to heal faster or help it to heal something that it's having a difficulty with. And then the same goes for the emotions and the same goes for the mind. But the key is movement. The key is going into that place of rest and repair, which is about essence or intuition. Making something happen from the place of intellect is associated with action or fight flight, but it's about maintaining something, right? So there are times to maintain something. Prevention is a type of maintenance. You get a little routine down, you take certain vitamins, you take certain herbs, you drink a certain amount of water, you go for a few walks, you do whatever you do, and it maintains kind of a state of health, right? But what happens when the health is compromised, right? And so here we're talking about physical healing, we're talking about psychological healing, but this can also be healing for relationships. This can also be healing for situations. It could be innovation in the workplace or projects that you're doing. Like a deeper way of even saying this would be it's a flow of higher creativity, right? It's bringing down soul essence and physicalizing it in the body or helping to shift and evolve the body. And so a little bit different than how we think about healing in the West, but it's something that we're naturally drawn to, we're naturally wanting. We don't always want just a symptom oriented approach. We want something to where our body can heal itself or evolve or do something where it leaves it stronger rather than just trying to manipulate the body, right? And so, here we get the best of both worlds, right? But before we jump into a practice, I thought we'd open up to questions, and if somebody wants to share experiences, let's go ahead and do that. And then from there, we'll jump into a practice. So unmute yourself or type it and go ahead and let it fly.
Go ahead, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Hey, I really
How
just
are
kind
you?
of wanted to share with you.
I've been experimenting here mostly with the three brains, the downward one, the
Yes.
last couple. And what I noticed yesterday I did it using Hesod, the blend
Mhm.
Hesod.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And my God, I was
Yeah.
so on and so open and so
Hmm.
loving. And everything I did was just so full of joy and happiness in my
Hmm.
work. Everything was just like, wow, I want to be like this all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
no joke, huh?
it was amazing. And then today I did it and I used violet flame instead.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, the difference that I noticed was that I didn't have that same sort of open heart expansion
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
I was moving along and doing okay today, and all of that. But and I tried to do everything else, like all the other parts and processes. I used the same oils. I didn't
Hmm.
change
Hmm.
anything. Really was trying to compare what the difference is between the oils and how they affect is it our physiology? Is it our energetic system?
Hmm.
Uh, but it was very interesting to have that kind of difference of experience. And I was wondering if you had any insights about,
Yeah, so like I love that you experimented like that. Yeah, so it is impacting your physiology, it's impacting your your emotional body, your mental body, but also your energetic, the energy body. And so the chasud is associated with the holy name of the heart. And so with that comes, loving kindness and mercy and lucidity, like clarity of the heart and of the mind. Um and Imagination, which is esoterically would be the ability to perceive something that the mind can comprehend, right? So really, when we're getting information from the soul, it's coming in through the intuitive mind, but a lot of times it kind of bypasses the mind and gets down into the heart, and then the heart kind of processes it for a little bit, and then it goes back up into intuition, and then eventually over to intellect. And so, um, yeah, like that first plan you did was like having the e-ticket to all those processes, right?
yeah,
But
I want that one
yeah,
again.
like,
Definitely.
but if you look at like, here's the interesting thing too, is like, there's a bunch of fancy oils in that, right? All like it feels very, smells kind of flowery and then you listen or you inhale the violet flame, and it also has very, it's got jasmine and lang lang and lavender and rose and what is it, frankincense and spikenard and sandalwood.
Mm.
So, all things of like higher, um, what you would consider like higher properties or precious oils or however you would like to say it. But I would say the thing with violet flame is it has a much stronger like cleansing effect. Like it has a deeper unwinding of old emotions and thoughts and it's hitting the heart, but it's hitting other things, and it's really purifying more of our lower centers and our lower nature than it is like activating the heart. And so used on a regular basis, like I think that it would have an impact on the heart and on the mind. But it's very good for like cleaning things up and helping to release and let go of things. And going back to the first blend, just about activating the heart, activating the heart, transmuting things, connecting with that aspect of God that um, is all about loving kindness.
Yeah, totally
And
got that.
yeah, and it's just, I mean, that's one of my, I don't want to say I have like a favorite holy name I like to invoke, but the one for the heart's pretty high up there.
Yeah. So knowing what you know about me, what would you recommend? Which oil would you think I should experiment with next? And on the heels of that, Friday, I'm having this dental procedure done. Is there one in particular that you think would be like, oh, do that one before you go?
So for the dental procedure, I'd probably do galbanum or myrrh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
galbanum or myrrh, just because the galbanum or myrrh, like I probably like galbanum a little bit better. Galbanum is very good for like the flow between situations. You know how like you go, okay, I'm in this, I'm doing work and now I have to shift gears and do something fun. You know, okay, yeah, that's easy to do, but like what if you're doing fun and then had to shift into doing work? You know,
Mhm.
I've been on vacation for a week and now I got to get back to work on Monday. That shift from the normal state into something difficult and then even out of that is made more fluid and has diminished any sort of blockage with the galbanum. And so whenever you see situations where there is going to be pain or discomfort, or you're dealing with something difficult, or you have to have a hard conversation with somebody at work, or whatever it is, galbanum is your best friend. Like galbanum will just, myrrh has impacts on pain and everything, but galbanum helps with the transition of one state to the next state. Like, you're you're able to shift for this situation. So not so much I'm needing to shift into being in the dentist chair, but it's like getting out of the dentist chair and then going back to, okay, I just had this experience where it's a little bit painful or uncomfortable, or stressful, and then transitioning back into your normal everyday life where you got to like deal with Novocaine and all that for a few hours, and then the rest of the day. It will diminish the pain and will make that transition the negative experience, which granted, it's the dentist. It's not like it's a horrible experience. It's just nobody likes going to the dentist. Um, the it makes shifting out of that so much easier, just to where you kind of flow back into normal everyday life.
And would I do the three brains
Yeah,
downward process with that?
I would go up and down.
Up and down.
You
Okay.
you going down would probably be enough, but I was like, nah, I'd go up and down.
Okay.
And even, take a few drops internally or something. And it usually whenever I've done something like that, it reduces the pain quite substantially.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And I got your note about the clove too, so thank you for
Yes,
that.
yes, perfect.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
thank you very much.
You're
This
so
is
welcome.
fun playing
And
with this.
for
Yeah.
you to experience with something, I kind of like the doing the chasud, especially for like all the healing and stuff that you do. I
Mhm.
think it could enhance the healing process. But if I was to pick out another one, hmm, mana. I would try. Do you have mana? Like it's
I
been in
don't,
a
but
few
I can get
kits.
some mana.
So
Okay.
mana is, so there's this anointing oil out of the Kabbalistic traditions, that they call Keteret.
Mhm.
And there's a few variations of Keteret, because it's such an old anointing formula. And mana is like, I kind of did like a deep dive on all the variations of the formulas, and I followed the mana. I followed this one particular blend, which I, from what I can tell, is the oldest version of that blend, from
Mm.
what I can tell. And with mana, I followed it to a T. Like, I mean, to a T. Where the blend that we have, Keteret, it's one of the other versions, but it's like it had to be tweaked just a little tiny bit, and it's still very, very strong. But mana brings in a lot of light, like a lot of light. The Keteret, the one that's marked Keteret, because of the variation, and this is probably why the formula was slightly different, is that it cultivates a little bit more of the love aspect. But the mana, man, it makes light just start flowing through your body. And so I would use that.
Okay, I will get some
Yeah.
of that because you know what?
It will super help your healings.
Okay. Well, you know I like a good light show, so thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yes, you do.
All right.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. Well,
Hey,
this
hey, how are you?
oh, I'm doing pretty good finally again. This
Oh, good.
deep dive class this weekend was quite a ride.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I came out of the deep dive feeling really good and very
Mhm.
strong.
Hmm.
And Monday I was out walking my neighbor's dog because they were off on a vacation. And I came across this elderly lady in the neighborhood who was carrying on about she'd been down here in Mexico for 18 years and had befriended a family and basically bought the education for 5 of the brothers.
Mm.
And these 5 brothers got together. They're all basically successful contractors and lawyers and such now because she bought their education for them. In Mexico, you don't get free education. You have to pay for your education.
Right.
So she was the benefactor for the family and bought all the family education. And she was carrying on about how she'd made so much money in tech stocks in the 90s and the early 2000s. And that was the period of time when my job was basically taken from me in the tech industry and sent to Malaysia.
Hmm.
And so she's carrying on about what a wonderful person she is. And the only thing that came up for me was the level of betrayal,
Mhm.
anger,
Mhm.
stabbed in the back.
Mhm.
And and emotionally, I went into a full-on Visigoth, broad axe massacre mode.
Mhm.
I had to leave because I wanted to kill this person
Hmm.
because this person was what represented to me the financial winners in the financial casino of the American industry at the time, and I was the loser.
Mhm.
And here she was throwing it in my face.
Mhm.
And so I did lots of Melissa
And
spray, lots of
how
Melissa internally.
how did the Melissa treat you?
It took a while to take a hold, but it finally, I was able to, settle down. Okay. And this morning I woke up, this last night I was able to sleep all night through and not have nightmares and angry dreams.
Mhm.
But it was really tough. It was a very uncomfortable 48 hours for me.
I bet. Yeah.
So
How long of a period of time did you go through, like having to bounce back from like all those changes that happened in your industry?
basically I never did.
Okay. So
So my
90,
job,
so like 30 years, like
so
25, 30 years?
let's put it this way. I left my last tech job out of Intel in 2001, late
Okay.
2001. And I was going to San Diego to get a job down there. And when I got down to San Diego, all of the tech jobs except for Sony TVs and the defense industry were all gone. So I never got back into the tech industry ever again. Okay. And I just had to do little pickup work, delivery jobs, washing dishes, stuff like that, until we finally left in 2007. Claire got Social Security and we moved to Panama.
Hmm.
Okay. So I basically never recovered from that financial rape back in the early 2000s.
Right.
So yeah, there was an incredible amount of anger. Incredible. It was stuff, I thought I was all, in the light and I was, a good being and I could forgive people through the Course in Miracles and yada yada yada. Boy, this just threw it in my face.
Right.
The stuff that I had been stuffing down, ignoring, pretending like it wasn't there, man, that was up. That was up big time. But like I said, thanks to the Melissa, I was inhaling Melissa
Yeah.
regularly, spraying
Melissa was a very good choice for you. Yeah,
s-
very,
I
very good.
have a thing of Melissa spray. I was douching with that, a couple
Right.
times a day.
Right.
Yeah. But so anyway,
So, okay, so how are you now? Like, how are you? So it's been a few days and
it's
had
been
that
a couple of
interaction.
days. I'm doing much better. I'm back to an even keel. I'm continuing to do the Melissa to try to clear out and bring light into myself. Doing 3 brains as much as I can. For when it started, I tried to do 3 brains and I could
Yeah,
not hold
yeah,
the
yeah,
3.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was just,
No, that's how, I mean, especially with, like you said, like the length of time and how devastating it was.
yeah.
Um, you know, like the therapist part of me was like, okay, let's get you stable, but I'd also like to help unwind some of that from the past so that, it's not going to change the workplace, but not to just have that, burden's not the right word, but it's like that backpack full of
Yeah.
just
Yes. Yeah. The
scar
backpack,
tissue.
the
Yeah,
backpack full of scar tissue and fertilizer. Don't need
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I recognize that, I can't, it,
yeah.
I can't in quote
I
names,
gotta tell you,
change,
mine.
changing, the physical environment won't be easy, but it's going to be what I have control over is my internal state.
Right,
And that's what I'm working on. Like I said, I'm now down to where I can do 3 brains and hold it, thank
right,
God.
right.
I've been smelling them, like I said, the Melissa spray and
Yeah,
inhaling,
yeah.
thank God, thank God, thank God.
Like I had a similar situation, nowhere near as difficult as yours, but
Mhm.
it was incredibly upsetting. I can't imagine like what you went through. Like
Yeah.
and the more that I go through and let go of some of those things in the past, it's just it's not just an incident, like you're kind of living with the consequences of it, and
Hmm.
it takes a while to, like, we talk about like the intuitive mind being able to walk out of situations. The difficult thing with like a situation with what you're describing is, yes, that's in the past, but
Hmm.
with trauma, there's a part of you that is experiencing it like it just happened. Like
Yeah.
it is like you have
Yeah.
your foot in the normal everyday world, and then you still have a foot in that place where it's like, ugh,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, I would say, the earlier part of the on B, where it's the balancing,
Hmm.
for that, instead of using the ones here, use some form of sage.
Okay. Got that.
Yeah.
I
I
got
mean, still
sage
keep
and I have
inhaling.
Spanish sage.
Yeah, you use the Spanish sage. Yeah,
Okay.
do that. What was the other sage that you had?
Regular sage.
Yeah, either one of those will work. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep doing the Melissa, but
Hmm.
that B, which is you're just trying to balance out the sex, solar, and brain.
Hmm.
It will help stimulate the intuitive mind and help you to like detach from it. Like because the thing is, like in situations like this, a lot of the detach or the attachment is actually physiological. Like your body like has a reaction and then kind of locks on to that situation,
Hmm.
because like in a way the body's trying to survive and wanting to resolve that somehow so it can get back to
Yeah.
where it was, and it's
Exactly.
not going to happen.
Exactly.
Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And much as I would love to say, just hold it in your heart and it's going to happen, 20 years has gone by. It's
Yeah.
it's you might have new opportunities come your way, but that old situation is not coming back.
Yep.
So I mean, and I know you know that. I'm just
Yeah.
the culmination of the sage with the balancing the 3 brains will
Hmm.
help you to like let go of it in the body, and then the intuitive mind goes, okay, now how do we walk out of this cage, so to speak?
Okay.
And because the cage is the physiology, basically the cage is always the physiology. And so you're allowing the nervous system to re-educate to something different, because it's part of what's holding on to that situation is the nervous system.
Yeah,
And
like you said, the
and
physiology.
yeah,
And
the physiology.
that's
Like
what I
it,
was getting was it wasn't, it was my physiology
yeah, that's why
that
you got
was
all worked
reacting.
up. It's like your physiology is like, here's the culprit.
Yeah, really.
Like
Mhm. Yeah.
it's when people say they get triggered or something like that, it is a physiological response. Like it's not like the emotions got worked up. The emotions get worked up when we get triggered, but the physiology is what got triggered,
Mhm.
and then it produces a chain of events, right? And so I like the sage for you on B. So instead of galbanum or myrrh or whatever we
Mhm.
were using there,
Yep.
use one of the sages.
Okay.
And keep using the Melissa. But like even put a little bit of sage on your wrist every day and just, let that happen. You don't even have to think of the situation. Between the sage and the Melissa, it will happen. And then over a period of time, we'll have you start tapping into that time and then tapping out. But I'd say almost at first, let's mop the floors and clean the counters a little bit more, because there was this person that uh, that I know that he says whenever you go after a man's livelihood or a person's livelihood,
Mhm.
um, it's a lot like killing the man.
Yeah,
You
because
know, yeah,
there was an identity that I had
yeah.
back there that
Identity,
died.
survival,
Oh yeah.
dynamics with the family, your future, like all these things,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
you know.
So how about number D, the advanced Moses technique?
Yeah, you could throw
Be-
that in the mix. Like
because
do B, and then like after you kind of done it for a little, like 15, 20
Mhm.
minutes or 5 minutes, whatever you're going to do it,
Yeah.
you can fire through and do the Moses technique. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was using Sage with the Moses technique,
Yeah.
and I found
Perfect.
that was helping out some.
Yeah.
That was helping out a lot,
Perfect.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Super
even
good
used.
instincts, by the way. You went to the Melissa, you did Sage on the Moses technique. I don't think you need me right now. I think you got it all. You got it all going for you. Like,
I merely walk in the footsteps of the teachers before me. How about, so one of the things that I tried a little bit was the Melissa with on number D with the Moses technique.
Yeah, it would do something. Um,
Mhm.
the sage and the hyssop have much more of a like a cleansing and releasing effect, but
Okay.
you could throw Melissa in anything. Like I started doing this thing like I don't know a while back, where like when I was traveling, because I take Melissa every day.
Hmm.
And I don't know, we're sitting in the car driving to the airport or something. And I started doing Melissa, but on, how we do the four segments of the aura.
Hmm. Yep.
I was like, yeah, I'll see what this does. And then I did it about halfway through. I was like, very nice. It felt super good. And so, like, it never dawned on me to use it like that.
Hmm.
But when I did it, I was like, this feels really super soothing. And then I noticed that, like, and then I go into the airport, and the airport's not bad. It's just everybody's stressed out. It's a little bit agitating. Everybody's a little agitated.
Hmm.
Everybody's being short with everybody. It's just you have to
How
kind of,
about when your airport's under construction?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You gave me LAX flashbacks. uh, but I noticed that when I went in that day that everything was chill. Like
Mhm.
even when situations would potentially be a little bit agitating or maybe cause a little anxiety, I was just like, you know,
Yeah.
and so, you know, even try the Melissa like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. I will.
Yeah,
So
and
I'll,
then and then if it gets weird or something when you're going through and doing this, email us and let us know, because you know there's always something that we can approach or do or something. So
okay. All right.
yeah,
I'll run these and let you know how it goes.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
And go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Okay. Um, so I have something that I just can't seem to shift in the
Mhm.
physiology. It's
Mhm.
I probably do healing practice every day.
Mhm.
Uh, in some form of energy work or kinesiology, and I've tried a lot of things, but since last weekend,
Mhm.
it's under my right armpit, and I'm having a hard time like letting something go. It's old trauma.
Like you had an injury there or
No, it's emotional, and I think
emotional? Okay. And
it's
so when you say under the armpit, it's like at the bottom of the armpit, or like is she pointing to something?
No, she's not.
Like where is it? Like on
so
the chest or
no,
down on the ribs?
yeah, it's on the ribs. It's up underneath, probably where if you put your hand, like your thumb, like under. If I was going to put my hands on the top of my shoulders and tuck my thumb underneath the probably where the joint of the shoulder, the trapezius hits, then the rhomboids on the
On the backside.
no, actually, sorry, not the rhomboids, the front. Um, I don't know which muscle that is, but it's just at the top kind of nook. You had it when I saw you put your hands on your.
Like I was going like this?
Yep.
That like
It's
that?
kind of like just if you tucked your thumb
Okay.
underneath.
Yeah. So you're talking about either the pectoralis major or the pectoralis minor. And
Ah,
so you see like how I lift my hand up? Can
yep.
you like say I can't do it on that arm. Like can you rotate it back? Like when you get it up, can you rotate it back? It's not going to be a lot, but just
Yep.
a little bit. Okay, you
Yep.
can. So most likely that's the pectoralis major. If it was the minor, like you see how like I get it and I can't move mine back, it's because of an injury and I tore the pectoralis
Okay.
minor. So like I don't have that range of motion. And
Uh,
so you know that means it's the pectoralis major, which is like kind of the big chest muscle, but it comes over
yep.
and it starts to connect over here. And
Yes.
so you know, I would still do the like how you do some of the processes here. You
Mhm.
might want to do a little bit heavier on let me think this out for a little bit. Like practice awareness on the spot. You know, even if it's not hurting, you just go, okay, it's I have this
Mhm.
issue right here. You practice awareness and just sit and be still with it for a few minutes actually. And
Mhm.
then let's see. I would probably do the upward motion, and I would use, let me look at what to use here. I mean, do you have Melissa?
Okay. Yes, I just got my new bottle.
Oh, nice. So like I would put my awareness on that spot. I'd
Yeah.
inhale a little Melissa with it on the spot, and then I would do the from the bottom up. You know, you could also do the advanced Moses technique afterwards, but I think that from the bottom up is
Mhm.
going to be helpful. You know, because part of what you're doing there is you're starting with the instinctive responses, and for whatever, like you said, for whatever reason there might be some emotional thing. Part of what happens sometimes is the muscle or the fascia will tighten up or even cramp up to
Mhm.
try to protect us. like, be
Yeah.
it emotional body, the mental body,
Mm.
the physical body, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like it will tighten up and then just doesn't stop. Like it's just like, yeah, this is us now. This is what we do. We're all contracted over here. You know, this is just the way we roll. It just becomes this integrated thing.
Yep.
And Melissa's anaspasmodic. I mean, it's not the first thing that I would go to for anaspasmodic stuff, but very soothing to the nerves, very calming. It's very strengthening to the heart. So like you said, like if there's like that emotional pain or something or the
Mhm.
incident, it's not that it's just activating to the heart, it fortifies the heart, it strengthens the heart. It like I used to joke with some of my old clients is like this makes the heart be able to take a punch. Like, like
Mhm.
you can handle like greater difficulty because of the Melissa. And
Mhm.
because of the nerving effect, it's relaxing the nerves. The culmination of all that should really start to help to let go of that area, but I would still treat it with something topically.
Mhm.
And marjoram could be a good thing. Like
Mhm.
the thing with the marjoram is that it helps to transmute things that are in the body and it's super antispasmodic. So marjoram, like you might want to try like a sage there. Like first I would try marjoram, then I'd try like sage, because sage will calm the nerves and re-educate the nerves. And so if it's a neurological pattern, sage is one of the better things to put on the area. And then the other one would be helichrysum. Like I would play with a little helichrysum. There's been times where like for tendonitis or something, we mix like helichrysum with Eucalyptus citrodora, and very good for like tendonitis and ligament kind of issues and things. But when you have like a contracture or like some
Mhm.
sort of spasm there that's like not really responding to a lot of different kinds of
Mhm.
issues, part of what can happen is you'll have that area and there can be like stagnant lymph in the area,
Mhm.
or there can be like this like lactic acid that gets entrapped in the area. And the lactic acid is just a byproduct of when the body went anaerobic, like when it had reduced oxygen and then it started
Mhm.
producing this acid that then gets
Mhm.
stuck in the area. So like, when you're exercising, all of a sudden you feel like, "Oh, I gotta stop," or your legs
Yeah.
start burning, or whatever it is. That's lactic acid. Like that's basically what happens when the body doesn't have enough oxygen for doing what it's doing. It starts producing lactic acid. And so lactic acid can actually get stuck in the tissue, especially like if you rub it and it feels like burny, like, you have
Mhm.
like it burns when you rub into it. Lactic acid is stuck in there. And
Yeah.
so the combination of helichrysum with some ginger is
Okay.
like, I don't even make it into a product. I usually just drop a couple of drops of each and then rub it in with a little lotion and then rub it. And then you can even take your fingertips and like kind of dig around into that area. And you're
Yeah.
looking for those areas where it just kind of hurts or burns a little bit. And
Yep.
the thing with the burning is you're tapping into where the lactic acid is. And after the first time you do it, it's usually not there the second time. Unless there's like a bigger pocket deeper. Once you
Sure.
kind of break it up, it is done. Like it's just like it will not come back unless you re-injured it. And
Sure.
and so I would try, I do them kind of in order. Fire off on the marjoram, then do the sage, then do the helichrysum. And if it's still not resolving, I mean, you could throw terebinth in there at some point, but
Okay.
if it's still not resolving, I would do the helichrysum ginger combo, just, close ratio of being equal parts.
Yep.
But the combination of that with the three brains will help shift the physiology. It will
Yeah.
clean up the energy body, but it will also clean up, like you said, the past, like emotional trauma, whatever that was. It will
Yep.
help clean that up so that as your physiology changes, it's like you're almost like breaking free of that situation.
Got it. Okay. So I start off with inhalation with Melissa on that area and just allow whatever to come up, come up.
Mhm.
And then I go into the three brains.
Mhm.
Topically, I treat with marjoram and then move on if that doesn't work to sage and then keep moving on to helichrysum and then
Right.
helichrysum. Got it.
Right. And you can do those, like if your skin can handle it, you could do them neat.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, my skin can-
Ginger, like on the body neat, it might be a little tingly, but mixed with the helichrysum should be fine, you know.
Yeah.
But if you need a little bit of lotion or something, just put
Yeah.
a little tiny bit in, mix it up in your fingers, and then just dig in. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Now
so-
this is I'm excited. We'll see where I get. I'll let you know on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Mr. Robert.
Hey, Greg. I don't know where this is going, but I'm in awe of the people who have spoken before me, and they're just diving in with some oil that they're called to and
Right.
using it.
Right.
And part of me, I'm sitting here, I have the benefit of having a whole list of all the oils on my screen, and I scroll down, and what do I get called to is my birth sign oil, Pisces.
Oh,
And I'm like,
interesting.
I haven't tried it. It's something I'm going to go off and do, maybe even tonight. But it's like, whoa, and
I like that. I actually really like that.
Okay.
My story with the Pisces blend, right?
No.
So I made these blends like a long time ago, long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, maybe even a little longer. I think Master was still alive, so it was probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
Like when I travel and teach, I like being in person. I like interacting with the people. I like the class. I like everything. I don't like the flying. Like I don't. I mean, I'm fine with it, but like, there's part of me is like, I gotta go to the airport. I gotta get on a plane, and I went through this phase where about a day or two before I had to fly, my back would start to hurt. Because I got a pretty bad injury on my back. It's many years ago, but like it's pretty well controlled. But I mean, I was supposed to have surgery like 30 years ago. And so what would start to happen, like a day or two before I would fly, is my back would start acting up. Like every time. Like it would be fine. And then it was like, okay, a couple weeks, now I gotta go fly. And then once I'd get there, it would be fine. But it was, in my head, I wasn't really thinking about it, but unconsciously it was like, you're going to have to fly again. And then it was like, well, my back started to hurt. Maybe I shouldn't go. Those are the kind of thoughts that would start running through my head. And it didn't matter what I put on my back. Like I pulled out all the stops. I mean, I was doing all kinds of things. And I could get it go down a little bit, but it would feel better for like an hour or two, and then it would just pop right back. And then one day I was just kind of, I don't know, I was screwing around with the Zodiac oils. And, I think I was trying to figure out some process or something. And it was getting time to close to me to travel. And so I put a couple of drops of the Pisces blend on my wrist. And I did that, and I smelled it a couple of times. And I sat there, and then I was like, no. Move my back around. It was fine. It was totally fine. I don't have Pisces in any of my parts of my chart. So it's not like, oh, I've connected with my blend, or it's nowhere in my chart. Right. And every time that my back would start going out through that little, like it was about a year and a half or 2 years that I struggled with this little phenomenon. I would put Pisces on instantly.
Wow.
Yeah, instantly. Like within 5 minutes, I was like I could barely move. I put it on, 5 minutes later, I could touch my toes. It was like crazy. And I was like, man, flipping Pisces. Like, what is it about Pisces? And, I don't know how much of it was the sign and how much of it was the blend, or, there's an energetic component to it, which, I think kind of plays a role in that. But, you know, so what I started doing is I started working with the oil, the Pisces oil, and then the angel for Pisces. And oh man, for a while, that was my go-to back cure. Like whenever my back would flare up, I just bam, I nail that. So for whatever reason, like you feel drawn to that, I would say play with it, work it. You never know what's going to come out of it. I mean, there's a lot of things that we know, like, well, this will probably produce a kind of result. And then there's times where like, I don't know what this is going to do. Let's check it out and see.
I am not, my logical aspect is so strong that I don't often experiment in this way. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I experimenting for? There's no
Right.
reason, just try it.
Right. Well, like I used to get, there's some oils that they're in a few of the blends, but they're hard oils to kind of work with. Just because they have to be tempered and they can cause very fast responses in the body. And I went through this period, like I'm going back to your experimenting. And I had these friends who they weren't really into the oils like I was, but they were curious and everything. And we'd see each other on the weekend or something. And I was like, I'd see him one week and I go, hey, I'm going to experiment with this blend of, and I'd say the blend, and then I'd see him next week and they go, well, how'd it go? And I was like, well, it went kind of okay. The how do you say it? Like the remedy or the antidote, I would say the antidote to my little experiment was like, I think it was marjoram. And just because it had such an intense experience, but that was always the ongoing joke. Well, I'm an experiment, but I better know my antidote.
Right.
And because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. And so like I respect a healthy, like, I don't know what this is going to do, but you could just try it like little bits at a time. But
Yeah.
if you need an antidote, let me know and I'll help you with the antidote.
Okay, thanks.
And go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Hi. Just one quick question.
Sure.
Is it possible to do a salt bath with Melissa?
Yes, I do them about once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just
I
thought.
mean, I don't like push it just because the oil's a bit expensive and anything, but it's calming, it's soothing. And the other thing about Melissa is it's very fortifying to the nerves. And whenever you're doing a lot of energy work or meditation, then the nerves sometimes can get a little bit depleted, like you'll get a little bit shaky, you'll notice.
Mhm.
That's the nerves are getting depleted a little bit. And Melissa will help kind of fortify that, but Melissa's also super antiviral. Like it's as antiviral as Monarda. It's just a lot more expensive than Monarda. So I all through COVID, I talked about Monarda more than I talked about Melissa. But even Monarda complex is I mix the two of those things together. Like I just, that's super antiviral way to approach things. And so I find it soothing. It makes me happy. It makes me lighthearted. It activates the heart. It strengthens the body. I sleep better.
Mhm.
And it pops up the immune system.
Oh, great. I think I'll try that then tonight.
Yeah.
How many drops would you recommend?
I usually do about 12 to 15, but I would say it depends on the size of your tub. If you have a smaller tub, maybe drop the dosage down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because how like when you take it, it feels a little tingly right here.
Yeah.
When you put it in the bath, I don't really feel that, but if you put a bunch in a small tub and the water was extra hot, you'd feel it.
Okay.
So don't make the bath like extra super strong, but like I take baths in lemongrass too, and lemongrass, oh boy, if you put it on the skin or something, it's a little irritating. 15, 20 drops in the bath,
Okay.
moderate heat, and it feels delicious. Like it just feels super nice. But every once in a while somebody will have a little bit of skin irritation from it.
Sure.
It just gets a little red, and then 10 minutes passes and it goes away. But
Okay.
like the higher the heat, the more potential there is for that kind of reaction.
Sure.
So,
So-
make it comfortable, but don't make it, sometimes when I was younger, I'd make them super hot. Like that's a
Mhm.
good way to make your body react.
I think that's
Yeah.
okay. So anywhere between 10 to 15 drops then.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then lemongrass, just as you're talking about that, a lemongrass bath would be really great to help detoxification, right?
Detox support, again, supportive of the nerves, especially the parasympathetic, the fight flight response, very good
Mhm.
for any sort of contagious kind of conditions. So like you would use it to try to prevent flu, or even in the treatment of the flus or colds. Also very good for relaxing the body. So if you're having aches and pains, or like if your back is feeling a little funky, like a little tight, it will just relax the back.
Mhm.
So you could do all kinds of versions of that, and still good for digestion. I mean, it's good for a whole bunch of things. I mean, it is literally considered a cure-all, and in the Indian tradition, an anointing oil. Like, I mean, it's got uh, a big spectrum of things that it can do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Super.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Interestingly, the there's a lot of fake Melissa that floats around the
Yeah.
market, and you know a lot of it is synthetic, right? But then there's people who will make a Melissa, it's named Melissa, but they're using genuine oils, so they can even say genuine oils, but it's lemon, citronella, and a bunch of lemongrass.
Uh-huh.
And so like even lemongrass is kind of, I don't want to say it's the same as Melissa, but it's in the vein of Melissa. Like it
Yeah.
has, anything lemony has like they're related,
Mhm.
so they're calming, soothing, reduce anxiety. But like lemon, that combination is blended together for like the cheap Melissas you see on the market. They're usually that. Like they're the
Mhm.
combination of the three. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I just thought it was a little fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Okay. Thank you so very much.
Yourself.
And go ahead, Laura.
Hey, Miss Laura.
Hey, Greg. Just a quick question with what you were just talking about, and I may have missed it. You take Melissa internally, correct?
Daily. Yeah. A
Like-
lot of times, multiple times in a day, like twice a day.
Okay, like 3 drops or what?
3 drops is what I recommend, but like most times I might do 3 or 4 drops at a time. But if I'm like working and pushing for deadlines, like I'm not feeling stressed or anything, but I just do it to keep the nerves like strong and fortified. I do about 6 or 8 drops at a time. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
And-
not telling people to do that, but if you're asking me what I do, that's what I do. Like I do.
Okay.
And probably
Ma-
closer to 8 than to 6, But
So do you think, so you were just talking
Mhm.
about it in the bath and this is versus internally. Do they do different things or do they do
no,
similar?
it's pretty similar. Like I would say that taking it internally, the thing that Melissa also does is it calms down lower emotions, so like, how Ralph was talking about, he got angry and he got upset. It's one of the best things for anger and fear, right? Especially when you're in the middle of it. But when you take it internally, it diminishes the production of lower emotions that come from the instinctual responses. And so it just kind of calms everything down. So over a period of time, you'll start to notice like, I'm not kind of having the reactions that I usually do. And you know, the bath is helpful. The bath is soothing and almost soothing in like a different way. Like it's the bath or like a body tonic or like when you inhale and you do like the 4 segments of the aura. It almost diminishes the potential of getting triggered, but it doesn't really change the internal part of being triggered. Like taking it internally, it kind of does it like from the inside out. And the bath or the body tonic or inhaling is like the outside in. And so what I started doing is like, yeah, I'm gonna take it internal, but I'm also gonna breathe it in my, on the 4 quadrants of the aura and take a bath in it from time to time just to soften the incoming stuff so that like I get it internally and I get it a bit from the topical application or like the external part. And I just find that it softens everything. It just I joke about this, but it's kind of not a joke. It makes me a better person. Like I'm just not like I'm cranky or whatever, but I feel better inside. Like I just, you know, I go flow with the punches a little bit easier, and I just, when bad things happen, I'll think about it for a minute. I'm like, everything passes. Where if I'm not taking it, it takes me a while to get there. But like if I'm doing my Melissa regular and something, we just had some weird thing happen just out of the blue last week, and Samantha and I just like looked at it, processed it. 5 minutes later, we were done. Like, okay, like I don't know what we can do about it. Like it's weird, but okay. And it wasn't bad or devastating, but I would have grinded on that for a few days, you know, in the before times, you know. And with that, I just kind of shook it off really quick, and I was just like, okay, I guess things weren't the way that they seemed with this person. So okay, just no drama, no anything, no back and forth. Just kind of made my peace with them, moved on. And I think you did too, right? It seemed like you did.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And
So-
so that's from the internal. Like that is purely internal.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna start it. I have a friend that has a profoundly handicapped son who's autistic, very bright, but he
Mhm.
is profoundly handicapped.
Yeah.
And his anxiety is very high. Would you go with Melissa? Is there something less expensive you could go with?
You could actually try the lemongrass. Like I would try giving him a couple drops of lemongrass and try that first and see how that works. And
And baths also?
if he would take a bath in it, but sometimes with a situation like that, they get very much in their routines. And I would say that
He likes a bath.
he does. Okay. You could try like maybe just try 5 drops in the bath at first and then maybe work up to 10. And just, for his tolerance and not overstimulating the sense of smell and, see how he tolerates that. And the only reason I say that is back when I was doing therapy with Down syndrome and autistic kids, that sometimes we do something that for everybody else felt really good, and they would have a little bit of a meltdown. And so that's why-
That happens frequently.
yeah, so I would say just try to do like little bits and just see how they handle it, and let them like almost like get used to it.
So
And
he
then
could take a couple of drops internally
yeah,
once or twice a day?
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, that's
Put it
perfect.
in water and juice or something, but other than that, yeah.
Excellent, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you're so welcome.
And diffusing probably would be okay?
Oh yeah, diffusing would be great. Yeah. The other one that you might want to try with diffusing is marjoram. Yeah. The diffusing of marjoram, it's calming, it's soothing, and it transmutes some of the physiology. It transmutes some of the the instinctive responses, which is what we're talking about, like Melissa like calms things down. The marjoram can, I mean, it's not the same as Melissa, but it's in the same vein. Like, it's, and you can go crazy with the marjoram. Like he could put it on topical, he could take it internal, he could do a bath. But I'd probably start with the lemongrass, and then the next one I'd explore is marjoram.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Let me know how that goes. I'd be very curious.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Question, could I use this to help with creative innovation in my art?
Yes. I would do segment B, where you're balancing out the three, and then I would do the upward motion, right? The upward motion is going to help a lot more with innovation, higher creativity, problem solving, overcoming obstacles, movement. And so your creative processes would very much be enhanced by my little trick is like when I'm having a hard time doing a book or like, a booklet, and I'm just like, not feeling it today. Or, I keep finding reasons not to sit down and write it or something, and I have like deadlines. I have to stay on my schedule. And so yeah, that's one of my tricks is to go and do from the bottom up. And within a couple of times I'll be doing it, and I've literally stopped in the middle of doing the process to start writing the booklet. Like, that's how much it will get the juices flowing. If nothing's working, one of my go-to ones, when I just can't get the juices flowing, is try it with mugwort. Yeah.
The website's description of Melissa is that it is one of the best oils for anger, anxiety, and lower emotions. What is or other oils are in this category?
That one's kind of a rock star. Chamomiles can be good for the anger, like Roman chamomile and Cape chamomile. German chamomile, not so much. I mean, it still will have an impact, but not so much. Lang Lang will be good for frustration that eventually turns to anger. Sometimes rose or ambret can be helpful. Tuberose can be helpful. Um, hmm. If there's just like a bit of emotional upset, tarragon can be helpful. What else? Like I know I'm leaving a couple out, but I'm just not thinking of what they are. Anything jump in your mind?
You said the ones that I was thinking.
Yeah. There's one, boy, I don't know why I was like, it's not so much like in the middle of maybe if you got angry or upset, but to try to prevent that from happening. Like I said, Lang Lang's good for frustration that eventually turns to anger. But like sometimes when you're just in a difficult situation, you're like, ugh. Jasmine can be helpful. Jasmine will make you a bit more like kind of playful. Like, even something's difficult, I used to call jasmine my Bugs Bunny oil. Because like if you notice, like, if you grew up watching those cartoons, he'd be presented with a difficult situation and then he'd just start playing with the situation, and then he'd flip it to somebody was chasing him with a gun, and then pretty soon he's chasing the person with a gun. It's just because he was being very playful with it, and like non-reactive and playful. And so I would say jasmine, and if you took that class, the body mapping class, the alignment blend could be in that vein.
And then in a previous class, blue tansy, cistus.
Yeah, blue tansy could help.
Cistus, anula, and mace were mentioned for anger.
Cistus for anger.
And Letty found it out of one of the booklets. So.
Yeah. Cistus. Been a long time. So I usually use cistus for a little bit more fear-based things. It might work for anger. I have to go back to my notes. If I wrote it, it was in my notes. So, yeah, if that's from an old booklet. Letty, do you mind what booklet did that come out of?
It's from the allergy booklet.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I get the dark blue tansy, but
And they're listed under anger. Remember that class? It was called allergies and other
Mhm.
conditions.
yeah.
Listed under anger, you had the chamomile, you had the ones I listed, blue tansy, but I think you also mentioned tarragon.
Tarragon. Okay.
Tarragon was in there just for anger. Because you covered a whole section in there that was all for lower emotions.
Mhm.
And it went from lower emotions, it went from like calming the lower emotional responses, and then it has, that was A. B was anger, C was resentment, D was exhaustion, E was frustration, F was fear, despair, guilt, hurt
Okay.
feelings, stress
That
response.
sounds like a good class. I should probably take that class.
Yeah, I have to refer back to it because I like that whole area for the
I'm gonna
lower
have to pull that one up after this. Yeah.
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 And you just listed a whole bunch of lower emotions. You just went down, like you have annoyance, agitation, sadness, disgust,
What
and
did I put for annoyance?
for annoyance, let me see, Jasmine and Lang Lang.
Yeah. Good old Jasmine.
What was the name of the class, Letty?
It's the allergy class.
Okay.
Remember? I think we taught it in Chicago. Like
Yeah,
it was
it's
one of the first
allergies.
ones.
It was just called allergies and other conditions.
I think it was either in Chicago or Birmingham. Yeah. It was a 1-day class, right?
That I don't remember. I just
I think it was
remember.
a 1-day class. Yeah.
I
think we
don't know,
did that
Greg,
once.
because it's kind of long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sam, if you see the cover, I think you'll remember it.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I was
Mm.
hoping Robert would find me it in previous classes, but no such luck. We'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
I'm gonna turn my camera on. Look at so you just can see it.
So going back to the Melissa thing, also it is an antihistamine, because part of anger a lot of times is tied to allergic responses. And Melissa, especially like in respiratory blends, sometimes a little tiny bit of that is added to reduce the allergic response. And so taking Melissa internally on a regular basis actually lowers histamine levels and the allergic response. And so just like dark blue tansy will, German chamomile will, geranium, Greenland moss, there's a bunch of oils that are antihistamine type. But
Would doing a foot bath be as effective as a salt bath?
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like as effective. I mean, they're different, but like if you clean the feet energetically, you rapidly clean the whole aura. So like I had this bad habit of, I'm a tall guy, so like when I would sit in a bath, I'd prop my feet up so that I could get my torso in and everything. And I found that if I spent a few minutes with my feet underwater right off the bat, the bath was so much more relaxing. And then I was like, that's weird. And then I started thinking it out energetically. It's not weird at all. It's you're cleaning up the energy body much quicker with the feet being submerged. And it's good to do the whole body, but there's a time and a place for doing foot baths. And so yeah. Foot baths are very nice. Spikenard is really good. Valerian, Taggets is very good for that, and also a very quiet one that doesn't get mentioned too often for foot baths is Cape Chamomile. Cape Chamomile is really good for foot baths. Cape Chamomile is very good for cleaning up energies from the environment, elementals and things.
Someone had a share, just wanted to say thank you. These practices have been greatly helping me bring positive shifts in my life.
Yay!
I am also noticing I'm getting answers to my questions out of nowhere.
Yay! Synchronicity, like, I'm curious, is that like they're coming to you in your head or you're getting information from the environment? I'd be very curious about that.
And you can type in. Yeah, go ahead, Priya.
It's just,
Mhm.
hi, how are you? That was me. Positive changes, yes, many, but answers are coming out of nowhere for little things like I was looking for um something for pain with helichrysum.
Mhm.
And last night, I saw on my YouTube there was a notification for calming the lower will. You guys had shared
Mhm.
a calming the lower will, and it had not mentioned any oils or anything, but I just hit the click button, the play button, and I practiced the entire protocol, and it was helichrysum, and I felt so calm.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Mhm.
I was more grateful for finding what I was looking for,
Mhm.
or more grateful for how peaceful I was after doing that practice. And I had some assignment due or something, and I just spent 1.5 hours straight because all that agitation was all
Mhm.
gone.
Mhm. So,
Calm.
so like I would say, like I put it in the notes a little bit, but I try not to make a big deal out of it, but I also don't want to ignore it. But the more you do the three brain practices and all the different variations, the more you really are increasing synchronicity. And so, like, you look at that situation right there, and it's like, well, you've been exposed to the classes and it was on the YouTube and everything, but in the moment, and the thing on the internet, like you connected at that time, and it's not that you're just like exposed to the information, but when things kind of click, like when things click into place, that's like the synchronicity, or it reinforces something, or it brings something to your mind. And the more that you do this practice, the more that you'll start to have lots of synchronicities happening all around you, where you just, hey, I'm thinking about this, and then boom, or like, boy, I was just talking about like something happened in the last day or two. Remember, I said I was thinking about that last week, and it was just like out of the blue, and I was like, that's weird. And then this week it happened.
Mm.
And
And
some of that is you're sensing something coming, and even the idea of synchronicity is you're kind of communicating with the environment, but not consciously. But you sense something coming, and you either get out of the way or you go, "Oh, I need to move towards it," but it's not intellectual thought. It is truly like really almost like pure intuition that puts you in that place,
Yeah.
and because like for me, if it gets into my intellect, then my intellect, screws it up a little bit, like, but if it's intuition, like it just gets me there, and then I'll go, oh yeah, that's the thing I was looking for, you know and it really starts to become a thing.
yeah, and this was
Yeah.
just one example. Like there's a few things that have happened. For example, I wanted to say no to somebody for something, and I was trying to think how to say no in not such a not so nice manner and without hurting their feelings and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But it turned out they reached out to me and they said no, and I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
Just one
Good,
thing,
good,
it's
good,
just many
good.
things that are happening. And actually it did start to happen from the three brain practices because I
Yeah,
was doing it every single day. And then yeah, I don't know what's changed, but something's very positive. Thank you.
you're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Cynthia, then Ralph.
Hey, Cynthia.
So I'm gonna tell a story on myself, but I still considered it kind of like I was being stopped from doing something stupid. So I was out feeding my birds in the morning,
Mhm.
still in my pajamas. And I'm very careful not to close the back door behind myself because it locks.
Mhm.
Well, it locks. And
Uh-huh.
my first answer was, "Ugh, I don't have any keys out here. Now I'm out in my pajamas. What am I
Mhm.
going to do? So out of frustration, I pick up the yoga frog that I usually put mealworms in for the birds. And I hit the window that sometime back I broke in order to get back into the house.
Mhm.
And it doesn't break. So I hit it again. So I hit it at least 3 times, maybe 4 before I stopped and I went, it is not breaking, Cynthia. There is another answer. Stop what you're doing. So I sort of stood there for a minute and thought about it. And I was like, okay, it hasn't worked in the past, but this time you need to try it again. So I basically got down and managed to wiggle around and reach through the dog door and reach up.
Oh,
to
wow.
get the lock turned and get back in the house. But I just found it interesting that 3 times after, when I've keep banging on this window with basically a stone,
Right.
it doesn't break. And that was what it took to stop me and say, okay, you're not being allowed to break this window. There's another
Right.
answer. So hate to be that
Mhm.
dense, but that's what it took. But
That's
I
a
felt
great
very
story.
grateful that I got
Yeah.
stopped, because otherwise I'd be getting somebody to come and
Right, right.
going through that whole process again. So
Wow.
I
That's
guess
a good
I
one.
felt like I was being helped. Saved from myself.
Very, very good one. I'll have to tell an embarrassing story that's very similar, except I was just in my underwear and it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I was looking for my cat and got locked out. We'll tell that story some other time because it was pretty involved, but oh my God. Those moments like that you were able to look and reach up and do the doggy door, like, man.
I was grateful for the doggy door.
Yeah, no
I mean,
joke.
of course, I also said, okay, note to self, that means someone else could probably do this too, but
Right. But you also have a dog there that's gonna, like, pitch a fit and
well, he's pretty much beyond chill. He'd probably be going, Mom, what should we do?
right.
I hear something.
Right.
So anyway, but yes, I was very grateful that the universe saved me from myself.
Good.
And then go ahead, Ralph. Get you unmuted.
Okay, let's try this
Mhm.
again.
Yeah.
Mana oil. I'm looking for it on the website and I don't find it. What's the trick? How do you spell the mana?
MANNA.
Ah, okay.
I think Robert, yeah, and Robert just posted it in the
Yeah.
chat. So,
Okay, good.
And we
Thanks.
can do any size. I think only 5 mils on there, but if you want smaller sizes or whatever, we can do.
Okay, also, yeah, thanks. On the 3 brains, as I recall, doing 3 brains tends to balance and cleanse
Mhm.
all 3 chakras at one time.
Actually, all the chakras. Like
All chakras.
even though you're working just 3, well, you're 3, but if you do the front and back, you're doing 6. But
Mhm.
it balances everything out.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
and just so other people, the mana is in the body mapping and the 3 brains class, which I know a lot of you took,
Mhm.
and we are teaching again in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
And also in the Phoenix technique class. So,
Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to be doing with some of the classes is, like, sometimes I only present a certain amount of information and we call it a class, but a lot of times I could do like 2 or 3 classes from like a weekend kit or something. And so what we're going to do with the foundation for mystical healing and the body mapping class is we're doing like the next phase. So if you've already had the class, you review it like it's the first class, you'll be using the same kit, but there will be new and different information, kind of like how we do the 2.0s. Like, we do a class and then a 2.0 version, but even a bit more so. And so we're going to do that with a few classes, because there's a few classes where, like, man, we could just unwind that, and instead of just doing a different class but in the same vein, let's just keep unwinding it. And there's one class where I think we're going to do 4 different versions of it, and so after the first time, the other 3 versions are free because you already have the kit. So
So the body mapping class coming up seeing
It
how
was
we,
gonna be a
if we,
2.0
did,
or,
if we did it back in September, this would be considered a review for us?
yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. All right, and so you're gonna adjust the website so we can sign up for the review part? Because
Oh, I
right
didn't do
now,
that yet?
right
Yeah,
now it says, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, who knows how it happened.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Do you want to do a practice, Greg?
How about we just do, like, since we're here and I know we're running way late, but let's still do a little bit of a practice. Just like maybe a 10-minute thing.
And retake is on there. So retake is the meaning of like redoing the class for the body mapping. I'll let him know.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So how about we'll go to let's go to letter B, where we're balancing it out. So here, galbanum alignment, Monk's anointing oil, or threshold.
And what page are you on? Or
I'm on page 2. So you've got your oil, and now let's do awareness on the sex, the solar, and the brain. At first, just put your awareness on all 3. Don't worry about balancing them. Just put your awareness on all 3. And now your awareness is on the brain, the solar, and the sex, but now a third of your awareness is on each. So a third of your awareness on the sex, third of your awareness on the solar, a third of your awareness on the brain. And then take long, slow, deep breaths. You're still taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause and be still. And then again, awareness on all 3, balancing it out. And then just pause. And let's do it one more time. Awareness on all 3. And then pause. And then your awareness is on the left side of your body, left side of your face and neck, your shoulder, ribs, your hip, all the way down to your ankle. Loose breathing. Then the front side of your body, your face, your forehead, your throat, your chest and abdomen, your pelvis, down the legs, all the way to the tops of your feet. And then the right side of your body, down the whole right side, top to bottom. And then the back side of your body. And then pause and be still. Notice how you feel. Okay, everybody. And remember, Saturday we have a 1-day class, lymphatic, dealing with the skin, some routines for the skin. And Sunday is the Super Bowl, so we're not doing anything. Can't compete with the Super Bowl. So I've tried a couple of times, but nobody ever shows up. So anyway, so hopefully we'll see you on Saturday. If not, maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday. So take care, you guys.
Real quick logistical question. When doing the sides of the body, do we make sure to cover the arms?
You're just doing the whole side. It's not about the body parts. You're just anchoring attention on that side of the body, so you're covering the aura.
Thanks so much.